Hey ladies and gents, in this video I'm going to discuss the bill HR 299 affecting VA loans that was just signed by the President on June 25th and will become effective January 1st, 2020. So on top of finally providing extended benefits to select groups of Vietnam veterans, what this bill also does is it eliminates the cap on 100% financing for VA loans. Now to set the context, let's first look at the basic current elements of the VA loan as we all know it. Firstly, the VA loan is a purchase and or refinance loan program exclusively available for active duty military service members, honorably discharged service members, and veterans who meet certain eligibility requirements, or their surviving spouses, and then finally those who meet other specific qualification standards set forth by the VA. Now, what the VA loan bill does is that it allows anyone who is eligible and meets income and credit requirements to essentially purchase a property, whether a condominium, single-family house, or even up to 4 units, with zero down payment. In other words, 100% financing for up to the conforming loan limit for the county in which the property is located. And what we're talking about when we're talking about conforming loan limits, these are standard financing limits that are released every year for what is considered to be supportive of the local housing market in that area. So using San Diego as an example, the conforming loan limit for 2019 is $690,000. So a buyer using the VA loan that meets the income and credit requirements would be able to hypothetically purchase a property in the county for up to $690,000, 100% financing. Now, as it currently stands, if that buyer wanted to buy anything above that limit and use their VA loan, they would need to put 25% down on any amount over that. So for example, if they wanted to buy a property for, let's say, $790,000, they would need to come up with a $25,000 down payment. Now, the way this works is not that the Department of Veterans Affairs actually lends any money. Rather, what they do is they actually act as a guarantor, kind of like a behind-the-scenes cosigner, by guaranteeing to the lender that if the borrower defaults, the VA will reimburse the lender up to 25% of the loan amount. And this minimizes the risk to the lender and makes it a very low-risk loan for them. Now, contrast this with the way conventional loans are, where you would need to place around 20% down to get a loan with no mortgage insurance. Now, the second element of the VA loan is the VA funding fee. And what this funding fee does is it essentially creates a financial means for the VA to take on the risk of guaranteeing loans for veterans without placing any additional burden on the taxpayer. And being that the VA loan statistically has some of the lowest default rates in the country out of any type of loan, this more than sufficiently covers losses incurred by VA loan defaults. Now, two things to note about VA funding fees. Number one is that if the borrower is a veteran and he or she has a 10% or greater disability rating, then they are exempt from the funding fee altogether. Number two is that the loan program allows for VA funding fees to be financed into the loan, which really makes this truly a 100% financing program. Now, on the revisions of all of this enacted by Bill HR 299, rather than having to place 25% down on any amount over the county conforming loan limit, a qualifying buyer will essentially be able to borrow 100% of the purchase price with no official limit in place. So what's really incredible about this is that theoretically, a borrower could go find a 4-unit property in a prime location with high rents, plan to occupy one of the 4 units and then rent out the remaining 3, and then finance the entire purchase while using the projected income to qualify. Now, this really helps open up a tremendous amount of possibilities if you want to get creative with house hacking, and having no limit on the 100% financing is just simply unheard of in the lending world. Secondly, HR 299 also makes some changes to the VA funding fee table. So whereas it is currently 2.15% for first-time users and then 3.3% for subsequent uses, the new fees are going to be 2.4% for the initial use and then 3.8% for subsequent uses, until 2027, when it essentially is going to supposedly revert back to its current structure. Now, remember that these fees don't apply to veterans receiving disability compensation. But even for those that don't receive disability, this isn't any sort of astronomical increase, relatively speaking. It's pretty reasonable. And another note to bear in mind is that lenders have additional layers of protection and scrutiny when they lend called overlays. So once these changes actually take place in 2020, there's going to be a good chance that different lenders may have different added layers or requirements, or may have more conservative debt-to-income ratio guidelines, for example, when this goes into effect. But in summary, come January 2020, the cap on VA loans, 100% financing goes away and funding fees go up slightly, but overall, these changes make an already incredible loan program unparalleled. If you have any questions or want to explore the VA loan and creative uses further, feel free to reach out to us anytime. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.